Hey, what's up guys, Benny here and welcome to another Apex Legends Season 4 video. I've been having an absolute blast playing a ton of Apex since Season 4 came out, and it made me want to make a video on, first of all, helping you to get better aim on console in Apex Legends so you're going to be able to land your shots more often, because there is nothing worse than holding your head in your hands after losing a gunfight because somehow you just couldn't hit them consistently enough. But by the end of this video, you're going to know what you need to do to get better aim. But I also want to give you a load of tips on how to win more gunfights so you can get those wins and high kill games. I've also got a few legend specific tips, including the new legend Revenant. Oh, and please do share any tips that you've got down in the comments below. I love hearing what little tricks and secrets that other people have found, and I'm pretty sure everyone else would appreciate it as well. Okay, so let's get started with how to get better aim in Apex Legends for Season 4. In this video, there's going to be 7 key tips for improving your accuracy, which now thankfully are a lot easier to practice than it used to be thanks to the firing range. So first up, you're going to want to jump into a firing range lobby where, as you probably know, you can practice with all the weapons, items, and legends in the game. It's honestly a loot goblin's heaven. Once you've got into the game, the first thing that you're going to want to do is boot up your settings. Now, I have done a more detailed video on how to set up all your settings, which I'll leave a link to down in the description. But what we want to focus on is improving your aim. So you'll want to head over to your sensitivity. So something to bear in mind with sensitivity is that traditionally, lower sensitivities give you a better level of control, something that's crucial when using assault rifles and fighting at that medium to long range distance. And then higher sensitivities will allow you to react quicker if someone has managed to outposition you. So my personal recommendation is to start lower. I've only recently upped my sensitivity from a 3 look sensitivity to a 4, and my look ADS sensitivity from a 2 to a 3. But this is where the firing range is going to come in handy, because I want you to set your sensitivity to a 3 look sensitivity and a 2 ADS sensitivity and grab a G7 Scout. Then spend a couple of minutes snapping onto targets at different ranges as quickly as you can. Maybe even try doing some hip firing with an R301 also. Then after a few minutes, try a 4 look sensitivity and a 3 ADS sensitivity, and then do the same thing again. Whichever suits you best is what you should use. Don't do something crazy like go for an 7 or an 8 sensitivity. Your accuracy is just never going to be consistently good on those sensitivities with a controller. There's too high of a margin for error. Don't get me wrong, it can pay off occasionally and look spectacular when it comes off, but the other 9 times out of 10, it just won't. Now you've got your sensitivity, the next thing you need to learn is recoil control. Now, different weapons behave differently, so it's going to take you some time to learn exactly what works best with every gun, but there are some things that you can take with most guns in Apex Legends to improve your accuracy. The first of those is burst fire. You're never going to be able to control a fully automatic gun's recoil pattern, whether that's the R301, R99, flatline, whatever it may be, at all ranges. Yeah, there's going to be times you'll just laser an opponent down, but just get into the habit of holding down the trigger for a few bullets, reset the gun's recoil, and fire again. You can also, with some guns, just fast tap the trigger, which is going to help keep your gunfire centered and on target. The next thing you're going to want to do to improve your accuracy in Apex Legends Season 4 is to do something that I like to call the slowdown. This is for when you're shooting against moving targets in the distance. So always start aiming in front of your target, then start firing, then slowly ease the amount you're moving your thumbstick until you start landing shots, and then maintain that speed. It's one of the best ways to win gunfights and pick up kills at medium range. Next is something that you'll notice a lot of great players just do naturally in Apex Legends, and that's something that I like to call centering, which is all about where you're pointing your crosshairs whenever you're playing Apex Legends. You're effectively always aiming at something, even if it's not an enemy player, and the second you start thinking in that way, you'll see a significant improvement in your gameplay. It doesn't matter if that's an item you're picking up, a doorway, a window in a building you're moving towards, but that's what centering firing is, identifying a location that is most likely going to have an enemy player, and that's where you'll want to be pointing your crosshair towards. Of course, scan your environment, but don't be aiming in the middle of the floor where someone just isn't going to be. I see it so often and it blows my mind. Always be ready for that gunfight. Something that is quite prominent in any console FPS like Apex Legends when you're using a controller is the game's inbuilt aim assist. This effectively gives you sticky aim, which allows you to keep your crosshairs over an opponent far easier, whether you're aiming from the hip or aiming down sight. So to improve your aim in Apex Legends, you need to make sure that you're taking advantage of this, which is why you're going to want to be snapping onto your opponents, going from hip fire, where you've lined up the target's ADS. This is going to help activate that aim assist far quicker than just trying to ADS scan onto an opponent. You'll notice from my gameplay that in big open fights, I'll very often go from hip fire to ADSing as I switch between targets. And that's done on purpose to get the most out of the game's aim assist. There are, of course, always going to be exceptions when I know there's a doorway, which is the only place someone can come from, because I know I'm going to land those shots, so I'll just pre-aim whilst aiming down sights. Now, those are the base fundamentals that you need to apply to improve your aim, but just like anything, you need to practice to make it become muscle memory, so you do it without thinking. You then also need to just get used to how all the weapons behave, which is why it's worth spending that time in the firing range, so when you get into a gunfight, you know you're going to have the edge over your opponent. Which brings us onto our second part of the video, which is all about how to win more gunfights in Apex Legends Season 4. Because if you're not winning gunfights, you're not winning games, which I want you to do. Unless you beat me, then I'll be sad, but proud. So we've already got the first major hurdle out of the way, which is all about making sure that you're being accurate and landing your shots in a gunfight. That honestly is one of the toughest things to get sorted, and the more you play, the more accurate you'll get, I promise you. The next big hurdle to help you win more gunfights is all about your movement. Try and be mindful what makes it difficult for you to hit an opponent, and most of the time it'll be fast, unpredictable, decisive movements. Now, I always like to think of it like a game of chess. I try and decide how I'm going to approach a gunfight and then 100% commit to that approach. And unless the circumstances change, such as another squad or player comes in that I'm not expecting, I will stick to that plan. For example, in this endgame situation, I know I'm in a 1v1 and I have circle control. Always try and be mindful of where the circle is, what legend you're facing, and if possible, what weapons that they have. I knew that he would have to take the zip line towards me and that he's Revenant, so he could potentially use his death totem, which if he did, I'd take him down on his death totem and then instantly push him because I knew I would have a health advantage. If not, I would just wait it out until he was forced to come into the zone. That was my plan going into the fight, and I followed it through to become champion. The habit that you're going to want to get into is thinking ahead of how a fight could unfold. If you're Pathfinder, for example, using your grapple to get behind your opponents and get the high ground, never let an opponent be 100% certain of where you are, as that's when you lose any kind of advantage. If you're Gibraltar, use your dome shield to pull enemies in and your bombardment ult to force them towards you or out of position if they're holding an open area. Positioning is also vital in Apex Legends. High ground, circle positioning are all things that will give you huge advantages. As if people are running in from the circle and you're sat waiting, they've got no choice but to come straight at you, and with your newfound improved aim, you're going to be racking up those kills. Gunfight movement is also key and is actually something that Revenant is amazing at because of his passive, which allows his crouch speed to be faster than other legends. You want to be unpredictable in a gunfight, so make full use of your movement. Mix it up from strafing from left to right to moving in circles to jumping and sliding, and change the speeds that you do it. Make full use of the incredible movement mechanics that are in Apex Legends, combined with your Legends abilities, and you'll win a lot more gunfights. Then the next big tip to win more gunfights is knowing when to heal. Once again, do things like using the environment around you, like start healing while sliding down a hill or a ramp, or when you've got complete cover from your teammates. Think of your health pool as a team collective and always be aiming to get that first kill in a team fight. And as soon as you get that knockdown, you can then apply a lot of pressure on your opponents and can focus your fire to win the gunfight. Which brings me on to my next tip to win more gunfights. Apex Legends is a team game, so communication is vital. If you've broke someone's shields, let your team know by saying something as simple as Gibraltar's shields are broken. And if you're not on mic, just make sure to give accurate pings. Anything like that is going to help your team. Don't be the teammate that if you've gone down low, just start ping spamming, as unless it's actually an opponent, you're just decreasing the chance that you'll actually get picked back up. Then my final tip to help you win more gunfights in Apex Legends Season 4 is know how and when to rush an opponent. If you've broken their shields and they've ducked out of cover, push them, but still be aware of the cover you've got between you and them. Don't just blindly rush across an open area because they could have just baited you and you'll have no positional advantage, which is the worst position to be in, because there are so many times that are fake to go and heal and then just pop back out and just see some legend in the middle of the open and I'm like, oh, thanks for the free kill. But there we have it, a load of tips to help improve your aim and win more gunfights in Apex Legends Season 4. Please do share your own tips down in the comments below and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Smash the like button as it does help a lot, and I'll see you guys next time.